Marco was drowning, not in water, but in a sea of deadlines, notifications, and expectations. His world was a constant blur of gray cubicles and glowing screens. Every morning, the alarm felt like a starting pistol for a race he never signed up for, and every night he'd collapse into bed, his mind still sprinting through a maze of worries. He was successful on paper as senior project manager at a bustling tech firm, but inside, he was running on empty. His shoulders were permanently hunched, his jaw perpetually clenched. He was living, but he wasn't alive. One particularly grueling Tuesday, after a project launch went sideways, Marco felt a tightness in his chest so intense he thought he was having a heart attack. A trip to the emergency room revealed it was a severe anxiety attack. The doctor's words echoed in his ears. "You need to change your lifestyle, Marco, or your body will force you to." That was his breaking point. He couldn't go on like this, desperate for a change. He remembered a colleague mentioning a secluded Zen monastery nestled in the mountains, a place for people to disconnect and find peace. With a mix of skepticism and sheer desperation, he booked a 2-week retreat. The monastery was a world away from his life in the city. The air was crisp and clean, filled with the scent of pine and damp earth. The only sounds were the gentle rustling of leaves and the distant chime of a bell. Here, he met Master Kaito, a man whose presence was as calm and deep as a still mountain lake. Kaito had a gentle smile and eyes that seemed to see right through Marco's frantic energy. Marco's first few days were torture. His mind, accustomed to a constant barrage of information, rebelled against the silence. He was supposed to be meditating, but his thoughts were a chaotic storm of project plans, missed emails, and what-ifs. He fidgeted, he sighed. He wanted to check his phone, which was safely locked away. During one of their sessions, he confessed his frustration to Master Kaito. "I can't do this," he said, his voice tight. "I can't turn my brain off. It's useless." Master Kaito listened patiently, then handed Marco a single ripe strawberry. "Eat this," he said. Marco, confused, was about to pop it into his mouth when Kaito stopped him. "No," he said gently. "Don't just eat it, experience it." He guided Marco through the process. "First, just look at it. Notice its vibrant red color, the tiny seeds dotting its surface, the fresh green cap. Then, feel its texture. The slight roughness, the delicate weight in his palm. Then, smell it. Inhale the sweet, summery fragrance." Finally, Kaito told him to take a small bite. Marco closed his eyes and bit into the strawberry. An explosion of flavor flooded his senses. It was sweet, slightly tart, juicy. It was the most incredible strawberry he had ever tasted. He had eaten thousands of strawberries in his life, usually while scrolling on his phone or rushing out the door, but he had never truly tasted one. In that moment, with that single strawberry, Marco understood. Mindfulness wasn't about turning his brain off. It was about turning it on, about fully paying attention to the present moment without judgment. From that day on, his practice changed. Master Kaito taught him to apply this mindfulness to everything. During walking meditation, Marco learned to feel the solid ground beneath his feet with each step. During tea ceremonies, he learned to savor the warmth of the cup and the earthy aroma of the tea. He even learned to be mindful of his own chaotic thoughts. "Do not fight them," Kaito advised. "Observe them as you would observe clouds passing in the sky. Acknowledge them and let them go." Marco started to notice the subtle shifts within himself. The constant tension in his shoulders began to ease. He started sleeping through the night, a luxury he hadn't known for years. He found joy in simple things: the warmth of the morning sun on his face, the sound of rain tapping on the roof, the shared silence with the other retreat participants. His frantic mind, once his tormentor, was slowly becoming a peaceful space. He wasn't trying to escape his thoughts anymore. He was learning to live with them, to be the calm center of his own storm. One of the most profound lessons came during a session on mindful breathing. Master Kaito explained that our breath is our anchor to the present. When your mind wanders into the past or worries about the future, he said, gently guide it back to your breath. Feel the air enter your body and feel it leave. It is always with you, a constant, steady rhythm. Marco practiced this relentlessly. In the meditation hall, while eating, while walking, he realized that for his entire life, he had been holding his breath, metaphorically and literally, bracing for the next impact. Now, he was learning to breathe, to expand, to let go. The 2 weeks flew by. On his last day, Marco sat with Master Kaito one final time, overlooking a valley shrouded in morning mist. "I'm scared, Master," Marco admitted. "I'm scared I'll go back to the city and lose all of this, that the noise will drown out the silence again." Master Kaito smiled his serene smile. "You are not taking the silence with you, Marco. You have found the silence within you. The monastery is not a place. It is a practice. You can practice mindfulness in a busy office just as you can here. Your anchor, your breath is always with you. The strawberry, the tea, the walk, you can find them everywhere. The real challenge, and the real reward, is to live mindfully in the world, not away from it." Returning to the city was a shock to the system. The noise, the crowds, the frantic pace, it was all still there. But Marco was different. The first morning back, the alarm went off, and instead of jolting out of bed, he took a moment. He lay there, feeling the sheets, and focused on 3 deep, mindful breaths. He was starting his day not with a sprint, but with intention. At work, he applied his new skills. When he felt the familiar wave of stress rising during a meeting, he would discreetly focus on his breath, anchoring himself in the present. He stopped eating lunch at his desk while answering emails. Instead, he would go to a nearby park, sit on a bench, and savor his food, just as he had savored that first strawberry. He started taking short, mindful walks during his breaks, feeling the pavement under his shoes, noticing the city's unique rhythm. His colleagues noticed the change. He was calmer, more focused, more patient. He listened more intently in meetings, instead of just waiting for his turn to speak. He handled crises with a level-headed clarity that he never had before. He was more productive, not because he was working harder, but because he was working smarter, with a clear and uncluttered mind. He wasn't just managing projects anymore. He was leading people with empathy and presence. Marco's life was still full. He still had deadlines, challenges, and stressful days. The difference was that the stress no longer consumed him. He had learned to be the eye of the storm. He found that by slowing down and paying attention, he had more time, not less. By embracing the present moment, he was no longer haunted by the past or anxious about the future. He never lost the lessons from the monastery. He had integrated them into the fabric of his daily life. Mindfulness wasn't a 2-week retreat. It had become his way of being. He had learned that peace wasn't the absence of noise, but the ability to find the silence within it. Marco was no longer drowning. He was finally, truly, learning how to swim. And every now and then, on his way home from work, he would buy a pint of strawberries, and with each bite, he would remember the man he was, and celebrate the man he had become. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content on finding peace in our busy lives.